you can follow me any day of the year if you play like that. That was beautiful.
Here's a song that everybody probably should know. And since my wife is here, I'll say it. I'm playing it for her because she said, "Have I told you lately that I love you?" And Rod Stewart, you know, my kids were coming along, and for some reason, they started liking Rod Stewart for some reason. It's not like Rod Stewart Part 2, and he had this sort of remake. And so I'm going to see if I can remember how to play Have I Told You Lately.
Josh, could you move the microphone?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I meant to say that earlier, too.
You can say that too?
Okay. All right, y'all ready to go through some boring sheet music? Okay, for those that haven't been here, you gotta hear my little speech for the introduction so this will make sense. This is a building block. You're gonna be part of learning with me because I don't have it all to you to share. So we're gonna learn this together. So this is the rules of engagement with how we do this sheet music. Personally, you know, I had no interest in this collection growing up. Okay, this was Dad's thing. The last thing I'd be interested in is sheet music. Okay? Because I don't read it, it doesn't make any sense to me. But after Dad died, and I was going through all of this stuff, you know, you think you've gone through everything, and it's like God put this big cardboard box for me to find, and in it was another box of that sheet music. And it's late one night, and what am I going to do with this? And I start going through the pages one at a time, and I start seeing these pictures. And by the time I got about 100 into it, I was crying, I was laughing and giggling, every emotion a person could have. I was having it, and I said, oh my goodness, I now know why Dad liked to look at sheet music. Because he didn't care about reading the music. It was the history of our country. It was on those covers. And so I said, well, I don't know anything about it because he's not here. And so, but I did have David Jasen, who was one of his mentors and who was the gentleman that not helped us create the collection, but helped us come in and teach us what we could do as outreach, which this festival was the main part of that. And there are many other things. So when Dave would come once a year and spend a week, he taught me about sheet music. So I'm not the world's expert by any means, but I can hold my own now about sheet music. Okay, I didn't have any reason to collect because we had so much, I just needed to learn about it. And so, you know, putting the sheets up on the back wall is something that has been my project every year. And I would make sure Dave Jasen, with his wonderful vocabulary, he could advise me what you don't need to put up there or not. And so that became my exercise of giving me something every year to have as a marker to learn by, was to put the 48 sheets up. Okay, so then I began to collect, and over a period of time, Connie and I gave that collection and added to this collection. What I didn't tell you was, I know I hold this book up every year, and y'all probably think I don't read any other book. But this book is of a specific importance to me because you can't collect everything there is out there. Even though we have 25,000 pieces or more of collectible sheet music. And then with the Cleary collection that was added, thanks to Jeff's friendship with the Clearys and what we've done to honor the collections within the library, because she knew we would honor hers, she had at least 35,000, not 45,000. So I had one thing that my dad didn't have. I know what all we have in our collection and what Connie and I have added to the collection and what Miss Cleary has in the collection. So I said the part that I want to collect, if there is any remaining, would be what's in the back of this book, the last 100 pages or so. If I could get these sheets, that's my goal. And last year at this time, when I had my piano up here, I was not thinking of collecting any more sheet music. Okay? But after it was over, Dave Jasen died about a year ago. And I had the opportunity during the summer, I got a call from the person who was representing the collection, Dave Jasen's collection. And so I had an opportunity. Again, Dave Jasen had the largest private sheet music collection. He was, I think, the world's expert specifically on the history of the sheet music. Not everybody agrees with his logic about what was considered ragtime or not. But nevertheless, he did put a stamp on what he thought was important. And I thought that's good enough for me to strive for right now. So over the years, that's the only thing I look for, is what is not, or what is left in this book that is not in one of the collections here. We wanted to have it. And so starting from zero, I've acquired about 150 more pieces, 90 of which I purchased from the Dave Jasen collection. And so knowing what that, I've got to get real specific. So we're going to zip through these. So these are really, really rare pieces. And I don't have great little stories about a lot of them, and I don't know that any of the folks in here are going to know anything about them, so please feel free to speak up if you like.
The only thing to mention, Chip, please, is that if you want to see them for real, not just
Yes.
digitally, that's what's displayed on the back room of this very
Right.
museum. If you haven't been yet, you want to do that.
Right, and it'll make it a little more interesting if you kind of know what you're looking for. So let's go through, and will you be the timekeeper, Jeff, to give me an idea? Maybe we may have 10 minutes left or something.
Yeah, I mean, we're supposed to stop at 12:20, but I'm thinking that we should go to 12:30 as long as everybody can.
Okay.
As long as an hour and a half is enough for everybody to have lunch.
Okay, all right, and if we have time, I'll end it on with another song. If not, we'll call it quits when we get done.
Okay.
All right, so I don't see the first one yet, so. Uh-oh.
Hit the space bar.
Yeah.
Hit the space bar.
Okay, got you. Okay. All right, you think we'd have an Alabama rag in here, wouldn't you? But we didn't. So this is Alabama rag, and let me get my phone.
Let's get closer.
I'm going to tell you what year these are as we go because I did that on my phone. All of these are from 1900 to 1920. So let me get to that page and I'll hit you those as we go. And Jeff or the other musicians, if you all happen to know something about these or anything about them that you want to say, please do so.
Well, the most unusual thing about this one is look where it was published. Boston, Massachusetts. You're not getting too many Boston published rags.
That's
I know
true.
it sounds like.
And it's a woman.
And it's a woman. That's right. It's a woman.
It is a woman. There are going to be a lot of women in here.
And I did not find that name anywhere in.
Yeah.
Well, and also, so what year is this, Chip?
This is 1918.
All right, so it's late in the ragtime era. I mean, the ragtime era officially, for the historians, shuts down the year before, even though that's just a bunch of bunk. The interesting thing, though, is that here's the 60. And usually
Yes.
sheet music was 50 cents, so this is 10 cents more. Maybe because it's in New England and people had a lot more cash, I don't know. But, or maybe it was a longer piece as well. That could be one of the reasons why there was an uptick.
Yeah, most everything was 50 cents for decades. And by the way, I had a lovely assistant helping me with round one of coming up to choosing between the sheets. Gwen Elizabeth helped me over at my house the other night. So she can also interrupt with some things that she taught me.
Did you play through any of them?
I wanted to, but I was so interested in looking at them, I just got carried away. Like, I want to see the next one, I want to see the next one.
Another thing I'm gonna tell you that's kind of interesting about the whole thing is kind of like what's not on there, and some of the things I'm looking for. If it's self-published, that was a really big key. Self-published can mean a lot of things. It could mean nobody else would buy it, so I'd self-publish my one copy, or you felt so much in it that you just invest your money and do it. But the back, you can't see the back of the sheets, but a good number of these, I'd say about half of them, don't have nothing on the back. And so a publisher would never do that because they've got too much to advertise on the back for you to tempt you to want to buy something else in their repertoire. So I'm going to kind of tell you when it's important, maybe that you know there's nothing on the back. But that's how rare these sheets are. Nobody thought about putting any advertising on the back. And these are all official rags from David Jasen's definition of such. Okay, let's get going.
Hey, Chip, you want him to change the setting on that so it doesn't go to sleep?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That would be nice.
We're gonna go a lot faster as we go.
Is that an apostrophe before, is that a little anomaly, or is that an apostrophe before the Smith?
It is a, I think it's just a dot on the page. I don't think it's any meaning whatsoever. Yeah. Yeah. And also, the traditional sheets were what we call large sheets. And then when World War I came along, 1978, they went to the slightly smaller sheets to conserve the paper. But I swear some of those back there are the large sheets, so maybe some of them didn't actually, maybe they got done before they had to use the small sheets.
Yeah, well, it would have been a transition, especially if you were a publishing house, perhaps in Boston, you had a lot of extra copies of sheets that size that still
Yeah.
hadn't been
That's a
printed.
good, yeah.
You want to use it up, you don't just throw them away. So,
you
And
know.
the interesting thing too, Alabama Rag, you find out where Winona Smith was from in the first place. Why was this published in Boston? You know, a name like Winona is more of a southern name than something you find in New England. So there's a whole bunch of mysteries in that piece.
That was 19.
I guess by 1980, there is lots of, there's all of these East Coast publishing companies writing all these, that's when all those Southland songs.
Oh yeah, it was happening even
Then
earlier.
by the
than
early
that.
20s, everyone's sick of it.
That's true.
Yeah.
There is no levy in old Alabama.
That's right. That's right. A lot of the Tin Pan Alley songs, like "Waiting for the Robert E. Lee," and you know, were written by guys who never went south of Flushing, New York.
And you know the story Way Down Yonder in New Orleans by Creamer and Later?
Yeah, 1922.
922, and by then it was so passé that the publishing company let the audience know before they bought it, but it's a Southland song without mention of moons, mules, or mammies. So it said it is a Southland song, but it's not like the others. So it has prefaces.
Okay, very good. Here we go. He's got our item fixed here on the computer. Alaska Rag, all the way from Seattle, Washington. Now, another thing I'll say right quick, again, I'm big on saying what put American music on the map was the little town, not the big city. It went from the little town up to the big city, and then Tin Pan Alley and so forth rained it down upon all the folks in the rural areas. So you're going to see a lot of rurality here. So we have, of course, we've got some polar bears and some totem poles and so forth, and 5 cents here. A lot of these don't have a price on them at all. I also didn't make that point. And that's very rare to see something that doesn't have a price on it. So Arcadia Rag is from 15, from St. Louis. You were asking me about that
Okay,
earlier.
so
TK.
14 and 15 is an important distinction, actually.
Okay, tell us about it.
And if it's 15, it could be of actually huge interest to me.
It is August the 4th, 1915.
Okay, well, so I lead a group called the Arcadia Dance Orchestra, and it's named after, we named it after a ballroom in St. Louis called the Arcadia Ballroom, which was one of the most beautiful, decadent ballrooms in Missouri at the time. It was originally built as the Dreamland in the early 1910s.
I don't know if that's significant to the
Maybe.
generation in that.
But it was built as the Dreamland, but in 1915, it changed its name to the Arcadia when it was taken over by J. Turns, who had a chain of ballrooms, one in Detroit, one in St. Louis by the same name. So, I'm really interested because it's possible that this was named in celebration of the opening. So
I'm so glad you're here because otherwise we would not have a clue.
I really want to look inside.
Okay, we can make arrangements for you to look inside. Okay.
So, I'm sorry, I missed one part about that. AL, is the name familiar to you? The
My
composer?
name isn't familiar to me.
Okay.
All right, this one is a little more big city because it's got Ted Snyder Company. So this is rare, but it's not really quite to the degree the other ones are. But it's a great cover. Do any of you guys know that piece?
I don't.
No, but I know the he did.
Tierney
Yeah,
wrote-
Tierney's done a lot of. He's a very popular.
What year is this one? I'm guessing 1910 or before.
1911.
1911. So that's kind of a cool thing because that was the same year that Alexander's Ragtime Band got published by Ted Snyder, and he and his partner Harry Waterston went to Irving Berlin and said, you know what? You no longer should just be writing stuff and having us publish it. You need to become a partner in the firm. And so it became Waterston, Berlin, and Snyder at that point. Snyder, whose name is right there,
Yes.
he took third billing to make room for Irving. He knew a lot of money could be made.
Absolutely true. All right, this is one of my favorites. This has got everything. Really nothing on the back, just plain as day, no coloring. Wonderful picture of a black cat for Black Cat Day. And they dedicated it to a friend of theirs named Lena. So we have a female and self-published from an obscure place. Grand Rapids is not obscure now, but it probably was in 1901.
It's like
Likely
Mumford and
not, and likely an older woman.
Yes.
Mumford and Company, it's so great.
And this one I know Dave has some interest in.
I love this too.
And I won't make you sing this with me, but
That's
I
hard.
think every year we happen to pick one that happens to have some words in it. Ragtime sheet music is generally no words, otherwise it'd be a rag song. So all of these are rags. This has a verse, and it's basically enticing you to bring your business to Buffalo. Buffalo means business. This is like the Chamber of Commerce.
He was in conservatory in Buffalo.
George Cobb.
When Buffalo offered this contest, and he wrote that and won.
So who published it? I don't see the publisher listed.
Snyder published it, I do know that. It says it on the inside of it.
Is Lewis Snyder a relative?
I don't know that. I don't know that.
Yeah, I don't say that. I don't know if Cobb,
I'll
it's
have
a
to-
text by Cobb.
But you notice there's no price on it. Maybe they thought it'd bring a premium price in Buffalo or something, who knows? But 1909.
Maybe they gave it away.
Oh, there's the words. There are the words. I won't read it to you, but it's basically Buffalo means business over and over.
You played this, don't you, Dave?
I have, I couldn't touch it right
You can
now. I have
sit
the
at the
music.
piano and read it from
All
there.
right, hang on. You wanna do that? You're gonna read it, or do you want to?
I only have that one page to kind of show it.
Enough?
That'll be enough.
How's your eyesight, everybody?
That far away, I should be able to
You
read
want
it.
to do a bouncing ball thing?
That's the page.
Good enough.
What year is this one then?
This is 1909,
Yeah.
early in the morning on June
See if I can
14th.
read the words. Buffalo means business, Buffalo means business, Buffalo means business. If you want it verified, call on the trade. Everywhere prosperity, join the parade. Buffalo means blah, blah, blah. Steamers, railroads by the score, industries galore, 500,000 folks astir in Buffalo.
A store, a stir.
Astir.
And you reminded me of one other thing that I noticed. Buffalo is misspelled as the last word that you read.
Yeah, they only have one L.
They missed it. They got the L out of there.
That's a winner.
Going on to Canada, we have Checker Rag from Dan Goldsmith. This is self-published, even though you might not think it from the cover. And that is a really neat cover. And that's Dan. He looks like he's got a mugshot on the
And a nice thing, Canada.
Yes,
Published in Canada.
Yeah, there's no price, but Winnipeg is there. All right, Claudia Rag. I know you mentioned yesterday, Dave, that having ladies' pictures all over the cover
Yeah.
was good. So
Yeah.
this is Claudia,
White ladies.
and we assume more pictures of Claudia, but she's self-published. I say that. That's not true. It's a female composer, but she's not part of it. It's in Joplin, Missouri, little town. Important little town. All right, this is kind of nice. This is the college rag. By the way, Goldsmith was 1911. This one is from 1910. Now we're also in 1910 right here. This is the college rag. It is a female, Ruth. Can't pronounce it. Nickerberg. And I believe this is self-published. You can't really read it from there. With Central, for some reason I'm thinking that's
Central Music,
This is
Milwaukee,
just
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, and self-published. Okay, but you know, we do have 3 Ivy League schools. They're
Joplin, Missouri,
Big
right?
Ten, yeah. You got Carlisle, Chicago. So you know, different thoughts for what top colleges were in those days. All right, this is always one of my favorite. And there are many comet rags. There's probably about 6. This is one that I wanted so badly. I wish that they hadn't picked navy blue for the cover, but that's okay. It's self-published by Leslie. I'm assuming that's a man, Leslie, but I guess it could be a female. Coney Island Tickle. This is from Kentucky, Newport, Kentucky, 1906. Now, I will tell you just from my experience of collecting, while this is an obscure place, Kentucky, I have seen this cover on other. The St. Louis Tickle?
Yeah, I thought it was the same
Yeah,
Tickle.
yeah, that's the same cover,
Yeah.
which is common. So, you know, business of music, they can save on expensive artwork. We'll just put another tune in
So
there.
do we know who published the St. Louis Tickle? Is it the same publisher? Kentucky?
I'm not sure. I meant to look that up, but I didn't know.
Go to the magic phone.
Yeah, get on that. You take care of that. We're gonna go forward. You go back to
I'm
that.
guessing not, because this guy self-published as well. But
Yeah.
a Gasdorf is not a name
Yeah.
you're gonna forget.
And I will say this, I remember looking at, because I have a visual of the St. Louis Tickle. It's a softer kind of a green in the, but the color doesn't mean a whole lot in most cases because it's whatever ink that they have going, but I've always seen it in this color green. I'm gonna go ahead until you find that. Daffodils, a novelty two-step, 60 cents again. Again, a lot of these have no prices. This is 1912. Domino rag. There are many domino rags, but not one by Richard Glade
And
from
what year is that?
Chicago, Illinois. This is 1912. No, 1906.
Now that's interesting, because this photo says copyright 1908.
I noticed that. It's, I'm sorry, it is 1908, but that says something different than the inside of the cover, which was another point. It is 1908.
Victor Kramer.
Victor Kramer. So that was a big time.
So St. Louis Tickle.
So it's the same cover but two different publishers.
Yeah, and Chip, it's my understanding that the original St. Louis Tickle artwork, that it's supposed to depict the children looking, I think the image behind it is supposed to depict the St. Louis World's Fair.
Yes.
Okay, see, I always thought it was Coney Island.
Yeah.
You're right.
If they reused it, they probably just used the same thing and replaced the words to say.
Yeah.
And let's just say it's not politically correct.
It's not politically correct.
It's not very correct.
Yes, you're right.
So I've always known that, Stark himself does that, with Scott Rags and later Joplin Rags. All of a sudden, all it's changing is the name.
Yeah.
But it's revelatory to me that even within publishing companies, they were sharing the artwork.
Yeah.
That's something that's totally new for me. That's cool, thank you.
All right, this is interesting. Electric Park rag, and I don't know if that's a guy or girl, Gina. I'm assuming it's a girl, lady, but I don't know. But in Jasen's book, he says the year is unknown. Now, I went on Google this morning in between my figuring out a song and my dog howling, and I found out something I didn't know. I thought this was going to be something about the World's Fair in Chicago when they had electricity the first time or whatever. But no, there was a thing called electric parks, and they introduced the electric park. And you can look at that, and there are about 50 cities that are listed that they had an electric park. That's where they introduced their city to electricity is coming to you. And so we'll have a park where you can do all kind of fun things, and it'll have electricity, and then you'll eventually want it in your home. And there was one in Kansas City and in St. Louis. And I think the one in Kansas City still exists, it's just not named Electric Park.
Wow.
So I thought that was interesting.
Well, a couple other things that make this particular cover very interesting as well. Whether it's a man or a woman, it was conceived of by Jean Ledges, but arranged by someone else. Arranged by someone, one of the publishers, Rocco Venuto. So that meant that this person played it, most likely, and then Venuto jotted it down to be published. But the other really cool thing is that he's in cahoots with this fellow Lange, and who has a military background. So the thing about Sousa obviously Sousa's the March King, he was reluctant at first to put ragtime into his programs. He wanted his programs to be march-centric, maybe some waltzes, but ragtime was considered a low-class thing. And eventually the clamor and the demand for it said, okay, I'll put some in as well. So obviously this fellow Lane has done the same thing, but why it's so cool is just the connection of all the businesses going on here.
Right.
This one piece. You got a military band that is no doubt out there performing. They're gonna perform this. So this would be a piano reduction perhaps of the military band arrangement done by Venuto, who had done no doubt both. And then as a team, they have a publishing house that puts this stuff out for people to purchase and play wherever, in whatever arrangement they want to make available. So,
You know, and having a military person endorsing this thing called electricity might make it more acceptable for your city to say, oh, okay, we want some of that thing with electricity. And there's no price on it, which means they can probably charge what they want to based on where they've gone to promote electricity.
And the military band thing, he's pondering off of John Philip Sousa,
right.
because he was the name, but, Sousa.
Not the big
another
name.
military, yeah.
Okay, now, everyone has heard of the 12th Street rag, probably till you're sick of it. What is it, spaghetti, what's the other name for it? Is it spaghetti rag?
No, that was Joe Finger's car.
But anyway,
Blue Bush.
12th Street Rag is probably one of the most overdone songs ever by Uday Bowman. And this is 11th Street Rag. So if you go one street over, it's a bomb.
13th Street rag too, right? There's a whole series,
Yeah.
you did a whole number of rags.
Yeah.
And Mimi Blake played this once, and it's horrible.
She played it here one year.
Not that she's bad, the rag is bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. Now, I'm gonna show you, again, I don't read music, so I don't know difficult from not difficult, but by appearance, I know the 12th Street Rag didn't sell at first because it was too difficult to play. He couldn't get anyone to publish it, and finally he got someone to publish it if they would dumb it down. So I suspect 12th Street wasn't dumbed down. So I took a couple of pictures of that.
There's a lot of notes on it.
So I don't know if anyone wants to crack at it. And he autographed the back of it. That's a representative of a back of a piece of sheet music in those days. Again, he lived in Fort Worth, so it has his
More proof
autograph
that
on
12th
it.
Street was not written about Kansas City, it was written about a street in Texas.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It was.
I love telling Kansas City people that.
If it was an autograph, why would he put his address? Is it a personal copy?
I don't know. Again, it came from Jason's collection, so it could have had a story to it that I didn't get. You know, I didn't have Dave to give me the story.
Because he would have already written it if it was either a personal copy or whether it was somebody he meant to have correspondence with.
Yeah, that looks like it's almost an envelope kind of address thing.
Yeah.
It sure does, and it was creased in the middle, it was folded.
It does. But I mean, you know all I know about it, so I don't. But again, that's what it looks like. That looks pretty hard to me, but I don't have no idea.
Yeah, let's play that.
All right.
You wanna play it? Okay.
I'll try.
It's only got one flat. Two flats.
That's because he
Trying to make it
Wait
better.
a minute, did he change keys, right? Yeah, he plays one section in F and then he goes immediately to B flat.
Well, that's it. And he also, he had to move once, that's why he lived in two flats. All right, hang on.
Oh, that's terrible.
Oops. That's weird. This isn't perfect, but at least you get the idea.
Yeah.
There goes Scott. What in the
Want me
world?
to turn the page yet?
No, just stop right
And that's why he didn't sell anything. Nobody knew what to do with it.
there. So it was published in 1914. Keep looking at the cover, oh, that was 15.
I'm sorry.
Right, okay.
I'm gonna look at my notes while you're.
Okay, because it does say Bowen and Ward Music Publishing Company, it does not.
1918.
Which one? This one?
This one?
This one.
So he published it after 12th Street?
Well, it says July the 15th, 1918. Unless I made a typo.
It says composed from 12th Street Rag, so unless.
Now I do know
That's
this.
the title, but on it.
They didn't always get their legal documents
Yeah.
when they put them out either.
And then intro is the actual version of Beauty album is 12th Street. That
Right.
intro, ba, 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 that's the intro. He just changed it.
Right.
Yeah, he just rewrote the intro.
Okay, Freckles, a spotted rag. Oh, great job, Jeff.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Keep going. It wasn't that good.
This is a female, Fleta. That's a nice name, Fleta. Fleta Davis wrote this.
It's a picture of one of Doris.
Yeah.
Fuzzy.
Fleta, I really
There are
want
several fuzzy wuzzy rags, but I bet nobody has this one.
Jason Handy, that's gotta be W.C. Handy's probably.
Definitely.
It is.
That-
This is the Memphis Tale, 1915.
Oh, darn it.
A Georgia ball. Now, I know, she didn't think too much, Gwen Elizabeth didn't think too much of this one, but I'll put it back in there. The reason so,
Why don't you
I
like
know it's dull and it's dirty, but Eastman, Georgia, that's where ragtime started, in that community. And whoever in their little print shop or whatever did this. And, it's great.
what year? Please?
That would be 1910. All right, this next one is called Ginger, a Negro Shuffle by Mrs. That's the only time I've ever seen Mrs. listed on a piece of sheet music, even when it was, you know, female publisher.
So we don't even know her name, like her,
No.
her Christian name.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Homer Denny wrote Ham Bones. Now that's a really unusual thing to see a photograph
Yeah.
displayed like that. And that was this is Cincinnati, 1912.
That would make sense, because he played on riverboats.
An easy picked rag for 60 cents.
And we've seen this on another rag earlier.
Yeah, that's
Same guy.
a fairly well-known publisher, but not big time, but certainly not a one of a kind.
Yeah, that's fascinating, having a photo.
That's a beautiful
Okay.
cover.
Bill taught me something the other day in my southern twang of not knowing better. He's now taught me that it's Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Of course, I was going to say Wilkes-Barre and embarrass myself. So.
But they left the hyphen out.
Yeah,
Okay, it is. So this is a, you know, little town putting ragtime on the map. This is self-published 1911. And isn't that beautiful?
You probably lived there with a name like Witzenberger.
Yeah, that's right. All right, this is the oldest piece of the 48. This is a first edition of this. There were 3 editions. This is the first edition. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 1900. One day before Christmas. Jumping Jack. I'm speculating this was a toy of some sort, a jumping jack. I don't know. This is a San Francisco publisher. And of course, it's got Daniels and Wilson. Of course, Charles M. Daniels is part of that.
I think Dave published that in one of his books.
What year is that?
That is
Look familiar to me too.
1917.
So Fox Rag first would be Foxtrot Time, was it? Or is Fox Rag?
No, I bet you're right about Fox.
Yeah, definitely. Instead of 2-step rag, they'd be putting Fox, because by then Fox tried to
Some of
come
the dancers
dominate.
would sell, once again, they're selling it to the dancers. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and people just like to buy it because it's got
Or for
Fox
people
on it,
playing
too.
for the dance.
Perfect, exactly.
All right, Kentucky Rag. Kind of a dull cover, but it's Covington, Kentucky, self-published.
Watermelon move.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I don't know
that's
that.
a cool book.
Composer of Watermelon Mows. You know, keep in mind they're trying to sell their wares to get you to buy something else. So there's a little reminder you might want to pick that one out too. All right, this is not a first edition, but this is a beautiful cover. All of Clinton Keithley's, what few rags he wrote, all have great covers, and usually he's self-published from Iowa. But this has Jerome Remick, which is big time publisher. So I suspect there are other covers, but I don't.
And remember that Remick is the one who bought Charles Johnson's dill pickles rag that TJ and I played earlier. So if you find an earlier version that Hoffman published, you're getting worth more than a remnant. So that there probably is a first edition that,
Yeah, probably
Keith
so.
Lee had.
But that one that I just had on is 1909, this is 1908. The Log Cabin Rag, a slow drag by Ferd. I think Ferd must be the gentleman there for Ferdinand, I guess. And that's Macon, Georgia, again, off the beaten path.
I thought he was posing for a coin, I think.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite. If you see it and touch it and hold it, it has a 3D type effect to it, which is very interesting. And this is from Calvin Lee Woolsey, St. Joseph, Missouri. Isn't that the pharmacy guy?
RX, is it?
Is that the
RX
carbolic acid guy?
No, I was gonna say, is that carbolic acid or medic rag?
I
Once
think
again,
you're-
this is,
think you're
there's a
right.
Woolsey rag in one of Dave's folios.
Who wrote RX rag? That was,
Was that Woolsey?
I think so.
RX or XL?
I'm sorry, XL.
XL? Let's look at that.
I used to be dyslexic, but I'm KO.
But it's 1914, and again, I don't know what your lover's lane looked like, but we weren't dancing on my lover.
We got a car, you got two couples here, it's got a 3D effect, and then it looks like a power pole in it. So maybe they're proud that they have electricity on this trip. I don't know, I mean, it could be, we would think nothing of it, but.
What year is this one, please?
This is 1914.
What is the stamp in red at the bottom of the store that where it was sold?
Possibly, or the person who owned it.
Yeah.
This is Lover's Lane in St. Joe. If you get an answer for that, interrupt. Okay, we had spotted rag, and now we've got the full disease. We now have measles rag. This is one of my favorite publishers because it has a certain artwork about it. We had one earlier, I think, in the. We're gonna have one at the end that's a very similar thing, but they're all kind of blue like this, but they're great artwork. This is a Washington D.C. publisher.
Was Arthur Noakes a black man?
I don't know. That would be
It
something
says
that
at the bottom, something music library on U Street in Washington, which is a black neighborhood. There was where the
I did not know
music
that.
played in that area.
we need to find that out. Can you put that in your Google?
The answer to the first question is XL Rag was written by Lee Edgar Settle.
Okay.
Medic Rag, M-E-D-I-C, was written by C.L. Woolsey.
So the Lover's Lane was that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the,
Barley, yes, I'm looking to see what that one.
That one was Wiley.
yeah, you're right. You talked about that in your talk the other day.
So
Right.
it wasn't C.L. Woolsey then, right?
No,
Okay, that's what
it
we
was
did. So what am I looking up?
You're looking up the Noakes? Was it Noakes or the
No,
publisher?
I was asking if Noakes was a black man.
Was it
Arthur H. Noakes, like jokes, but with an N. And I'm sorry I didn't do all my homework, but there's a lot to get done here.
That's why we're here.
Yeah. This is a joint effort.
Well, that's trivial knowledge.
If you can click on the census, it tells you about people.
Yeah, he was white and he was Canadian English. He was born in.
Okay. That makes sense because I have seen that publisher and sometimes it's mentioned from
And his home
Canada.
was in, is Norfolk, it says his home was in Norfolk City, Virginia. I don't know where that is in comparison.
Norfolk is down.
Well, Norfolk, yeah, but I don't know, is Norfolk City the same as Norfolk?
Yes.
Okay, here's a Mel Kaufman tune. It has a great cover. Muslim Rag. 60 cents. All right, now I will tell you, you've heard me refer before that I'm not collecting any more sheet music, right? You've heard that. Unless there was like a handful or maybe 2 handfuls that I would give my eye teeth to get. And I'm surprised that I have them right now, but that is one of them. This is this is the first thing I look for to see if any of those pieces, and I have 2 pieces like this. I'll show you the other one in a minute. Pegasus by James Scott. You would think there would be a zillion of those, but this was at the end. I think this is 1920. So, nobody was buying this anymore. So, All right, ragtime dog. Obviously, this is Dawn, and she is from St. Elmo, Illinois. It's hard to read that from there. Now, she makes her pricing known in a little different way.
I must call Ramona Baker.
She says copies will be sent upon receipt of 25 cents by the composer at St. Elmo, Illinois. Then I'll mail you your copy. That's why it's so rare.
Unless we had forever stamps.
Right.
These names are not even in Bill Edwards' book. Some of these names of these women are not.
I thought you might be interested.
Only talk.
There's gonna be a lot of tongue wagging and texting going on today.
Christmas.
Okay, I'll try to go a little quicker because we'll probably get close to out of time.
You got about 5
Okay.
minutes there.
Okay. There's another female composer. Restless Rag, great cover. So I'm not really sure. I think that, isn't that to do with some biblical, wasn't she the daughter of? Yeah, okay. But it's a self-published, New Orleans.
Hands of the Seven Veils. And obviously, you know, New Orleans has very few rags that came from there. Publishing houses.
That's
There's another
true.
one called Sponge,
Yes.
which is great.
I don't think we have that one. All right, this is Scrub Rag, the classy rag. And I've tried to look up a definition of scrub to do with publishing, and I did find something on that, but I cannot remember. I think it means like the latest news, which would be exactly what that's trying to tell you, like extra, read all that. And that has about 7 or 8 pages. It's a very thick piece of sheet music. Here is another Uday Bowman piece that not many people know about. Shamrock Rag. Yeah. Solitaire Rag, 2-step. This is female composer. Not a really large publishing house. This is the other piece that was like the measles rag. You see the similar artwork? Some Wampus Cat Rag. Yeah. Spitfire. Now there are about 4 or 5 Spitfire rags, and I bought 2 of them. Spitfire that I didn't show you is not nearly as sexy looking as this one, so I chose this one. Female, San Francisco.
All right, is anybody in this room, I know we have a lot of people that know a lot about stuff. Weller Hartman, anybody ever heard of that publishing company before?
Not me.
Neither me, maybe Bill Edwards might have, but that's what I mean, that's what's so cool about it. It was obviously a large enough and successful enough publishing company to have offices in New York, San Francisco, and Chicago. It was nationwide,
Yeah.
and it's gone. And it's just amazing how successful some things were, and then they just disappeared in a mist of time.
This is the other one for my other eye tooth that I kept, Stop Time Rag. And this is so rare by Scott Joplin. And we like, pardon me?
The piece is not rare.
No, the piece is not, well, the sheet cover, the sheet music is very rare.
But you hear quite a few jobs.
Yeah,
Yes.
Italian played this.
Yeah. And we don't have time to play this, but I picked it up. It does have some word. Actually, the only word it has is stamp, 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 stamp. You want to give a 15-second version of what that, the whole piece is stomping your foot while you play.
Do you play this, Dave?
I do not.
All right, in that case, I just figured if you played it then, because I'm not the greatest singer. So. And later on we get, now is that the same as this, was this ragtime dance?
No. That's right.
So there are 2 rags that Joplin had a stamping effect going on. That, it's not the entire piece.
No, it's just
that
that
section.
section that he starts to stomping.
So he's doing this in the ragtime dance. And the whole idea was, really, it's sort of a novelty rag. Not in the sense of it says comfort,
Yeah.
but the novelty effect is that stamping. All right, and then eventually, of course, the audience might do it, or it might be simulating dance steps.
You know, anybody that's played sort of pre-swing music for a room of dancers will have experienced that thing where there is a musical break and you continue to hear, when you have 50, 100 dancers, you hear the floor shaking, the boom, 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 everyone dancing in time. So I've always imagined coming from a ragtime being dance music, that's what it's emulating, is the sound of a dance.
Well, sure, the very earliest jazz was that sort of thing too. King Oliver's Creole Jazz Band, of the number of recordings that they made, titles, it was either blues or ragtime compositions, with multi-sections, multi-strings. And what was the story about him, that the band could come down live in Lincoln Gardens so softly that you would hear, you know, they'd still be playing, they'd still be bubbling underneath, but then the stepping of the dancers took center stage.
I've also heard that King Oliver would, because often band leaders will stomp to indicate certain breaks, but apparently when it got too noisy in the room, the footsteps of the dancers would get too much. He would drop a brick instead.
And something interesting and unique, I think, to England. The first time I used to play with an English clarinet player when I was in my teens in Guildford, Connecticut. And I thought it was the weirdest thing, because usually the bands would be like, all right, 1, 2, 3, and they start playing. And he would always have his clarinet, he'd go, and then he'd start playing. And I thought that was the weirdest thing until I went over to England, and they all do that. You know? Right. So it's very, sorry, total digression.
No, this is what we want. All right, a few more here, then I'm gonna surprise us with something that you don't know about.
Oh.
The Symphony Rag, Peoria, Illinois. Texas Rag,
Self-published again.
yep. It's got LC.
And look, 1920, is that? 1920, there's no.
I don't,
Oh,
Five, thank you.
yeah. Yeah, that's one of the few. I quit looking up the years because they're all kind of.
Hey, we're playing in McComas Hall tonight.
That's
Yeah.
right, that's right. Now, there are a lot of that's. So this is That Captivating Rag. That's Ontario, Canada. That Doggone Rag. Now, I guarantee you, if my dad was here, this is the one he'd take home with him. He likes anything that's got Nashville on it. And it's the guy with the handicapped person at the bottom there, self-picture of his self-published rag. This is a cover that needs to be studied if you go back there. That motion picture rag, moving picture rag, but it is about being at the theater. You've got the audience below, you've got the theater, you've got the filming, and you've got Native American. There's a lot going on here, and the more you look at it, the more you do see. Even has exit signs on it. All right, here's the one that's from Davenport, Iowa, Velma's Chocolates. And it says it's a black rag, and I got to thinking about that, chocolate black, but they only had dark chocolate then, right? They didn't have milk chocolate yet. We think of it as being dark chocolate or not dark chocolate. What is it? From New Orleans. And the last one is from the gigantic Worth rag of the 55-story building. Yeah, very common, very common. Okay, I'm skipping through two that I had as extras, and then this is where I'm going to move on. These are in mine and Connie's personal collection. We're not gifting anything, but I'm going to let you know the joy of a collector, okay? 2 days ago, when I got home from the Gatsby Gala, how many days ago that was, my package had arrived. And another one of my fingers in the handful that I've been wanting my whole life to get was this one called Why Me Smile by Charles Hunter, who was from Nashville. My dad, this much I was paying attention to when he was collecting. He had a guy named David Lee Joyner, who was a young man from Memphis State University. I know you're from University of Memphis. And this guy needed a topic for his dissertation. And Dad said, well, I tell you what, I want to know about this guy named Charles Hunter. I'll fund this until you get sick of Charles Hunter and you make your dissertation. And I have a copy of that. And this dissertation is affectionately dedicated to Charles Templeton, Star, Mississippi. Without his resources and encouragement, there would not have been this dissertation. Thanks a million, Charlie Dave Joyner, 1986. And this is his dissertation. Dad loved Charles Hunter so much, with only 8 rags, I think, that he did. And Dad didn't have but like 2 of them. That's how hard it was to get. We lack 1 now. So, just letting you know, the hunt, we have gotten our prey. Okay? All right. Do we have time for me to do a song or not?
Yes.
I can definitely,
Yes.
not
Sure,
necessarily.
we don't start until 2. Again, there'll be a break, but yeah, please, come finish.
Okay.
Ladies
All
and
right.
gentlemen, Chip Templeton.
Okay, well, this is a song that you think I would not be rusty on because it's one that I wrote, but I haven't played it in a long, long time until 7:15 this morning. But I call it A Lord's Prayer. It's not the Lord's Prayer, A Lord's Prayer. So to me, it's kind of worshipful. I'm thinking of like the Beatitudes or something. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and that closes out soon.
So lift your prayer for each.